Alrighty. 1, 2, 3, testing. Should be good. Alrighty. Well, good evening, everyone. It is November 25th, 2022. I don't want to hear myself over and over again because I know my thing is going to repeat myself. Oh, wow, it isn't. It isn't going to do that. I'm very surprised. All right. Oh, well. We are talking about a severe weather event that is on the horizon. It is more than likely going to come, and it is for these areas over here in portions of Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi, as well as extreme eastern Texas. So this is going to be something really interesting to kind of watch out for as this progresses further and further. Of course, I'll get into the models and how this thing is really going to tick, more or less. So please be sure to stay tuned as hopefully my computer will start to function correctly, because you know, my computer tends to not do that. But yeah, once again, we have a very interesting risk 5 days out. Technically it's 4 now, but this is the day 5 convective outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. We have a 15% chance for severe weather, somewhat rare at this time of year, indicated in the yellow, and then a very rare, all right, this is a very rare 30% chance for severe weather indicated in the orange. So let's see if I can kind of zoom this in here for you all so you guys can kind of see what exactly we're talking about. There we go. And you can also see the little towns and cities down below as to where it's actually impacting, with the exception of my face cutting off a portion of Tyler, Texas, and Greenville, Mississippi. But Shreveport, Bossier City, Monroe, Alexandria, Greenville, and the surrounding counties and parishes over there in that general area, definitely something to watch out for. And then, of course, from Memphis, Little Rock, Jackson, Beaumont, and Tyler, you guys are all more than likely going to be impacted by this event, or you could at least get some activity. So that is definitely going to be something to watch out for as this continues to move about. Fortunately, though, this seems to be the only real risk of severe weather here within the short term. So that is something good to note. But other than that, that is kind of what we are talking about here on our horizon, besides maybe some general showers and thunderstorms. Let's get into the models here. Let's see if I can shift over to the pivotal weather model scan here, so that way we might be able to see everything. There we go. And I don't know why. There we go. Okay, so that's the separate screen. I am going to want to try and see if I can get some satellite up here on the side, so that way you guys can have something in the top right-hand part of your corner. Let's take a look at whatever is happening, these shenanigans over here in portions of Texas and Louisiana here while we're talking. So there we go. We have the shenanigans over there. And once again, the models, here we are. This is the GFS model. You can see what type of model it is by looking at the top right-hand part of the graphic. Of course, my face is going to not want to function properly, so let me kind of fix that. My face, there we go. Look at that. So much better, isn't it? I can actually touch my camera here for whatever reason. So before I actually get into this, quick story. The way I set up my stream, it has been acting up terribly as of recently. So it hasn't been very nice to me at all. And I haven't been able to touch my camera anywhere. I haven't been able to configure it at all. So now, the fact of the matter is I can move it. It's all good. We're fine. All right. But here we are. So models, once again, top right-hand portion of the graphic, it says GFS. So this is the Global Forecast System model. Of course, the time is in the top left-hand portion of your screen, but this is in Z time. So we don't have Weather Bell until more than likely December or even January, as decided to redirect my funds somewhere else for the time being, especially since I don't exactly want to spend $600 at the moment. I kind of want to do some other things before I get back into the thick of things with that. But pivotal weather, honestly, is really good bang for the buck, so this is good enough. We'll take a look here. Time is up there. This is the 26th, so this is Saturday. A little interesting severe weather system that's trying to move through into portions of the deep south, heading into the southeast. very interesting wind maker over here across portions of Georgia and the Carolinas. Probably could see something in the southern portions of South Carolina into the eastern portions of Georgia, but not really all too impactful in my honest opinion. Moving off now to Monday into Tuesday. So here is the setup here. You can see we have a big red L right in the middle of Colorado. That is a low pressure system. And we also have another low pressure system over here in the upper portions of the United States, kind of bordering it with Canada. Now, these low pressure systems are going to basically create our severe weather system. And you might ask, well, how can that be? Well, these two low pressure systems are working in tandem to try and create more and more significant wind shear. And I'll show you guys that here in a second. But you see here, as we get towards the morning hours of Tuesday, we'll move off here and get into the afternoon. There's a lot of showers and thunderstorms that are already forming right within that very same area that the Storm Prediction Center highlighted. And that is really going to be the area to watch. How this really dictates itself over the next 2 days, according to the models, is really going to tell us as to what type of severe weather we're going to get. My initial thoughts of it earlier on today was it being more of a wind maker with some isolated storms that could try and spin up. But we'll see if this new model run has actually changed that, and we'll get more into that with the actual specifics here in a second. But you see our low pressure system continuing to dip down, and this is just going to basically breeze through the area all the way up until we get into Wednesday, to where you can see we have a bit more of a lagging tail from our original low pressure system that's all the way over there. While that occurs, you see these dotted blue lines right within here. These are basically your isobars that tell you how cold is it. You know, really within that area, if you're going to get anything, any precipitation that's in those blue dotted lines, then it's going to be relatively cold enough for you to get snow. Anything below that towards the red dotted lines, it's really going to be more than likely rain. So you can see as that continues to move about, that really is all there is before another low pressure system is going to try and develop here. But then it just doesn't really do all too much, because we have another low pressure system that's now further north into Canada that's going to kind of rip this low pressure to shreds and end up being more of a snowmaker for places of Ontario and Quebec. So that's really, from a precipitation standpoint, is what we're looking at. Now, if we get into the specifics here with the actual wind shear, things start to get a lot more interesting, in my honest opinion. So here we are, we're looking at it right now. We have a cutoff low pressure system that's over here across portions of northern Mexico. That's the reason why you have a lot of your severe weather that's currently ongoing over into portions of Texas and Louisiana. But here is your general jet stream. And for people who don't know what the jet stream is, imagine the atmosphere has a river of air, a current of air that basically flows in all sorts of different directions. That is essentially the jet stream in a nutshell, with some few minor exceptions, of course, which we will not get into in today's stream. But as this continues to play on through, our low pressure system then begins to dig through, and now it starts to go back into what our actual jet stream was. Our jet stream is kind of looping in kind of like that, and then we also have another part of the jet stream that kind of diverted into two different rivers. But here, this is where things start to get really interesting. I said there was a low pressure system sometime around Monday and Tuesday along the border of Canada and the United States, right? There it is. There is our low pressure system. You can see there's a lot of strong wind shear that's starting to wrap around in a counterclockwise fashion. And that is indeed what we can see. Similar to what our old low pressure system was doing right there. You can see how a lot of the wind shear is trying to wrap around in a counterclockwise fashion. So let's play it out here. Once again, there is our low pressure system right along the border, continuing to build. And here we are on Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday evening. We have this big dip in the jet stream because of that, because we have a low pressure system right here that is starting to really kind of build. And then we have another low pressure system, or actually it's a bit of a high pressure system that's kind of steering it away, which is kind of very interesting. But this low pressure system over here in portions of Ontario is really going to be the catalyst of the reason why this jet stream is dipping so much. So you see our 500 millibar wind shear. We see a big river of air that's right within that Z that I just drew. And that's the reason why we have a lot of, just wind shear within this environment that could potentially lead to strong damaging winds. And maybe if the wind is oriented correctly, maybe the chance for some tornadoes. We'll go a little bit lower to the ground. We just took a look at the upper level wind shear at about 500 millibars. Now we're looking at the 850 millibar wind shear, which is a lot lower to the ground, probably about 1 kilometer above ground level, whereas the 500 millibar wind shear was about 6 kilometers above ground level. So we'll play it through here. We'll get to about Monday into Tuesday. So there is one low pressure system right there. We talked about that. But look at this right there. There is our other low pressure system that we were talking about that was over portions of Colorado. That right there is our surface low pressure system that is also going to be the catalyst for our severe weather. We mentioned both of them in tandem are going to be the catalysts. There it is. So this one is responsible for the upper level wind shear. This one down here is responsible for the lower level wind shear. And depending upon how the winds orient with height, this can determine as to whether or not we have a wind event or a tornado event. So we'll play it through here, get into the afternoon and the evening hours of Tuesday. And there we go. We have a huge corridor of wind shear here at the 850 millibar level, about 1 kilometer above ground level. That is really going to provide a lot of ample shear here in the lower levels. This is really going to be what really kicks off these things and ends up forming more and more. Now, the one thing that I do want to also get into this, actually there's two more things, but we'll get into the more self-explanatory one before we get into one that's a little bit more difficult. We'll bring in our surface-based cape and our crossover winds for people who are curious about how that would function. And I'm actually going to get a little closer to the actual event here, so that way you guys can kind of see what some of the crossovers are if you are more familiar with how that functions. If you do want to pay attention to the crossovers, it is color-coded. The reds are 10 meters above ground level. Your blues are 850 millibars. And our blacks, our black wind barbs are really going to be our 500 millibar wind shear. So really you want a right angle from the red, kind of like this. And then you want our blue to be something like this. And you want our black to be something like that. If you get that, then you're going to get some pretty strong storms. And it can be oriented in any sort of way as long as it has kind of that same shape. So let's play it through here. Let's get to Tuesday. Here's Tuesday right there. Boom. So what we have here is our crossovers, and then we also have something else called convective available potential energy, or CAPE. Essentially, for people who don't know, that is how much energy there is in the atmosphere for thunderstorms to either form or sustain. It's that warm air rising similar to steam, and it's that cold air sinking that creates that energy in the atmosphere, the instability, in order for thunderstorms to form or sustain. So typically you want the lighter blues into the yellows in order for thunderstorms to form. And you can see we do have a plethora of that. You can see especially over here across portions of eastern Texas. And then we also have the brighter blues that extend all the way over into portions of Louisiana, maybe even towards the New Boston and the Texarkana general vicinity. That's where some of those storms could potentially have some higher amounts of energy. So you see that. You also see that you have some pretty decent crossovers here across portions of central to north central Louisiana. That might be something to watch out for, especially as we get closer. But you notice these crossovers on the backside here. You notice how narrow the actual crossover is. And the more narrower they are, the more they're going to be a wind threat. So really anywhere within these crossovers that kind of separate themselves from one another within a right angle, those are the ones that are really going to get you your tornadic threat. And we do have some of that over there in north central Louisiana. So watch out for that, especially since radar coverage is pretty spotty over there. So definitely have enough energy. It can last all the way up to probably the middle of the night before we get into Wednesday. Not a whole lot of energy evident here according to this model run of the GFS on Wednesday, so maybe not as much of a severe weather threat afterwards. Last but not least with this model run, before we take a look at the Euro, because the Euro has a different opinion from this. Most of the models typically have differing opinions, but they're not too different. It's just more based off of placement as to where things can go, as well as maybe intensity as well. So I want to take a look at the vorticity here. 500 millibar, or not 500, 850 millibar vorticity. This is basically going to give me an idea as to where my thunderstorms could actually exist. And anytime I can find a vorticity line, a line of vorticity, it can really tell me as to whether or not I could actually have, you know, a boundary of some sort, maybe like a dry line evident according to the models. And indeed, as we get to the afternoon on Tuesday, 21Z, which is the afternoon, you see this giant band of vorticity right here across portions of central to eastern Texas. That is going to be your axis of where thunderstorms are going to form along the dry line. It's essentially an area to where on one side of the dry line, so over here on the eastern side, it's going to be relatively moist. On the other side, the western side of the dry line, the air behind it's going to be pretty dry. So in one area, it's going to be pretty muggy. The other side is going to be pretty dry. And then, of course, on the back side here, we also have a nifty little cold front that's going to be moving off behind it. So that's something kind of interesting. But I look at this for a reason without blinding you all, because once again, my computer loves to not function on me. I look at this because if I can find any of these other little yellow areas, so I know that this is where, where is going to be my thunderstorms that are going to form. If I can find any of these other yellow areas that might even be brighter than, what these little like light yellow areas are, then that might be where some of the other thunderstorms can form too. And, we talked about how north central Louisiana from a wind shear perspective might actually be favorable for tornadoes. If we can find anything across that area, and there we go, we actually have a little bit of that right there across the 0Z time frame. So that would be about 8 p.m. Central. That is where there could potentially be an axis of thunderstorms that could try to develop and become tornadic. So according to the GFS, something very interesting to note here that we will have to watch out for, especially as we get towards the coming days. Will the models switch from this? Will they not? That'll be something that we're going to definitely watch out for as we get closer to this. Now, we just talked about this vorticity. I want to continue to talk about it here, and I want to shift to the Euro, because I want to see if the perspective has changed from this opinion, because the models are essentially, different members. They're like people with different opinions. One might have an opinion that this event might do this, and then the other one might be something, completely opposite. So let's take a look at the Euro. Let's see if anything has changed here. You can see that low pressure system that I was talking about starts to move on through, and we can't get that far with the 18Z run. So let's get to the 12Z, and let's hope that this round of the Euro can actually get to that point. So here's Tuesday, 15Z, 18Z. So here's the early afternoon. And you can see on the early afternoon already a big axis right here of vorticity where our dry line is actually going to be. And for people who might think, oh, well, that's not a dry line. Let me go pause this as a frame right there. I highlighted the frame. Obviously, you can't see up top because I don't actually have the access to shift it and stuff like that. So just bear with me before I make it back to a playable model. But I froze this frame in time and I put it right there. I've labeled the dry line and I'm going to switch it over to dew points. And the dew points, oh wow. So it's actually a pseudo boundary that's developing, and back over here is a dry line. That is very interesting. That is also somewhat different. So yeah, pseudo boundary ends up developing right within there. You can kind of see how the models kind of drop off right within this area though. You see how it goes from like 70 all the way down to like the low 60s. That big drop off there of about 10 degrees in dew points is the reason why we kind of have that. So, and maybe if I advance it one more frame in time, it'll be a lot more obvious. There it is. See that, guys? Boom, big drop off right there. That is a little pseudo cold front. Pseudo dry line that kind of is developing on there. That might be the reason why, if things go that way, if things turn the way to where you have veering, so that right angle with your wind barbs, once again, if you have that veering all across this area, that might be a bit concerning here, and that might be something to watch out for a little bit further. But let's go back to the forecast loop. That is a pseudo boundary, according to the Euro model, which is very interesting. I actually find it And, I'm actually very curious about that. But back to the 850 millibar level. You have your pseudo boundary that develops right there. And then we have another band right in front of that. So we have one band, two bands. If I advance it one more frame in time, we also have a lot of vorticity out in front of it, just like this. So we have one band, two bands, and then we have this mix of prefrontal meh out in front of it as well. And depending upon if this meh, all this vorticity can form thunderstorms, that could be an area to watch for potential tornadoes. As I said, maybe even north central Louisiana could be the prime area to watch. I want to go to severe weather here real quickly, and I want to confirm my hypotheses. And let's go over to the Cape and cross over, just like what we had. Once again, prefrontal, that's very interesting, I'll tell you what. All right, so here's 15Z, here's 21Z, and it looks like the actual instability axis is a lot more narrower. Contrary to what the GFS has, this is a very much so more narrow area of instability compared to the GFS, expanding it all the way over here to Mississippi and, further east into Louisiana. But now the instability axis is not as wide, and it appears that the veering isn't as good, with the exception of central Louisiana into west central Louisiana. So that might be something to watch out for. If I was a chaser, I probably would pick Alexandria as my chase target. Maybe no, that's not Fort Smith. DeRidder, Louisiana. If I was over there, I would probably chase right within that area, try and figure out maybe where I would want to go after that. But that's probably where I would pick my chase target if I was chasing out there. But yeah, the instability axis, not as large, not as bright as we typically would see it, but you still have some right within that area right there. So if you were to take anything away from the past 22 minutes of me looking at the models and me trying to basically interpret it for you all, there's two things to take away from the severe weather aspect of this. One, there is a severe weather event that is anticipated for areas of the deep south into the southern plains. We'll go back over here and you can see there is the actually, what if I change it this way? I got an idea. Open link in new tab. SPC outlooks. Day 5. What if I just change it to this? Watch this. Magic! Look at that. Absolute magic. So we have our 15% chance for severe weather in yellow right within there, and our 30% in orange. If you're in the orange, you definitely need to watch out on Tuesday, because severe weather is coming up on Tuesday. I know it's November. People might not think that, severe weather exists during that time period, between October, November, December, January, and February, but it does. It exists, and, it will continue to linger even if it's not as repetitive as it may be during the spring season. So we do have severe weather on Tuesday. The actual idea as to where the severe weather might exist here on the southern end of the 30%, right within here, across portions of central to northern Louisiana, and maybe even portions of extreme eastern Texas along that vorticity axis that I was talking about earlier. The energy is kind of hit or miss, depending upon what the models think as we get into the more accurate models that get in range, which we aren't in range for those quite yet. Depending upon what those say, if more energy is inserted in those models, if they actually determine that there will be more energy, then there will be a higher end event here that will more than likely happen. If I had to guess right now, it would probably have to be at minimum an enhanced risk, and I actually think it might stay as an enhanced risk all the way up until probably the day of. But enhanced risk, and I'm seeing a ceiling of a low, very low moderate. I don't really see, the moderate being the right answer. I think enhanced risk is probably the best answer for this one right now. But as we get into the more higher resolution models, the more accurate ones, those will be, definitely tell us for certain as to whether or not this stuff could happen. On the other hand, if we can get more vorticity, all right, so we saw the vorticity band right within here that was going to move across eastern Texas. If we can get more vorticity out in front of it, or even a new band that forms out in front of it, there will be some more severe weather. Could potentially be significant, especially if they get into the right environment. And that would definitely be the higher end risk for potentially even tornadoes. And then lastly, for any of the severe weather on the backside, so we mentioned that vorticity band once again, that vorticity band will more than likely be mainly a damaging wind risk, with the exception of maybe the northern axis over here near Texarkana and Shreveport. That will probably be more of a in-between wind and tornado risk in that area. So that is the severe weather portion of the stream. I'll leave it to you guys to ask some questions in the chat, because I do believe in communication between myself and the viewers. So I shall go ahead and do that here. By the way, for all the people who donated, I really do appreciate it. I really do. Let us see. It would be nice if I can actually see my donations, though, I will say. Let's go back to full screen here. Let me go over. Skull Malice with the 5 says the scariest thing about severe weather is that it can happen no matter what times of the day / year it is. That is true, but on the other hand, it could also happen, it can also happen anywhere. It could happen in the middle of the field, which it seems to be the most common. It can happen in the middle of the water, or, the worst case scenario could happen over populace. But that is the one thing to note. That is the one cool thing about all this, is that, if it happens, for the most part, sometimes it's not even impacting people. We do have winter weather to talk about a little bit later on, so if people are interested in that, feel free to stay. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and like, as well as share the stream. That way I can continue to not only, 1, spread the information with as many people as possible, but 2, it helps my channel out. It helps me grow, and it helps me, of course, at the end of the day, build a community, so that way we all may be together and try to help out one another, stuff like that. That's kind of what I believe in for the most part. So the other thing that I believe in is weather is just so cool. Weather, I hate to sound like that nerd, like put on my glasses with, the tape in the middle and, get all, braces for like my entire teeth, and it's not even one, it's like 2 braces on top of each other on my top row of teeth, and then 2 braces on top of each other. Or like the Willy Wonka. Everyone's seen, or I hope everyone's seen the new Willy Wonka that came out like a while ago. But like the one with Johnny Depp, and it had like the younger Willy Wonka with like the braces and the thing around it. Call me that, but weather is just pretty cool to me. It really is. What will be happening in Kentucky in a day or so, or the next day or so? That is a good question, and to that, let me adjust my viewing area over to Kentucky. Move pivotal weather back over there. Of course, you can see how many subscribers I have. And I'm actually going to move this over here, if you don't mind, so that way I can actually see who all has donated to me and not leave you guys out in the dark. Because I believe in supporting my supporters. True facts. There we go. Miss Pac-Man with the 1.5, thank you so much. Alma with the 1, thank you so much, I really do appreciate it. And that seems to be it for today. So as I said, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. It really does mean a lot to me. So here is Kentucky. We'll get into Kentucky here. We'll get with the Euro model, because the Euro model seems to be one of the more accurate models of this year, at least throughout 2022. By the way, some showers and thunderstorms that can occur from late Saturday night into Sunday morning. That could definitely exist. But we're moving off into Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday, believe it or not, you guys actually could get some scattered showers and thunderstorms. Maybe some damaging wind makers over there in portions of western Kentucky. So that would be like Mayfield area in Paducah. That general vicinity could potentially see some activity within that. As we get into central Kentucky, Bowling Springs, as well as Louisville, you guys could potentially see some activity, late Tuesday night, very late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And then just more showers and thunderstorms across the entire state as we get towards midnight and past midnight before things finally start to move on through by late Wednesday morning into Wednesday afternoon. Beyond that, there will be a giant plume of cold air that'll move on through. Once again, I talked about these blue dotted lines right within here. These blue dotted lines basically indicate as to where the cold air actually is. And if you're above the blue dotted lines or if you're in it, it's pretty cold. And if you're in the red, it is above 32 degrees Fahrenheit, or at least around that. It's above freezing. So that's one thing to take into account with that. Plasmic with the 5 says, what is this zip code looking at here for weather? That's a good question. Let me pull that up here and let me not dox you. Although you did put your zip code out in the open. So, I mean, people, if they really wanted to, can search it up. That would be Texas. Interesting. It's north of Houston. So, areas over there, that's where things really get interesting for Tuesday. I do believe you will see severe weather. The aspect of severe weather that you will see, I'm leaning to it being more of a wind and hail event for you guys. Can't rule out a tornado, but I mean, it's just a lot of the stuff that's north of you is really going to have a better opportunity than where you're at right now. So that's kind of my initial thought process on that. I'm thinking of making probably a video and or live stream on Monday night before the event on Tuesday, because I do plan on live streaming it if it is significant enough. If it's like a 10% sig or higher, I think I probably will stream it. But I do plan on trying to live stream on Monday night to kind of update you guys on what this all is. But on Tuesday, it looks like there will be some scattered showers and thunderstorms that will move through the area, at the very least in the morning. And it could pose a risk to maybe some damaging winds and some spotty hail. But yeah, definitely something to watch out for on Tuesday. And these are with the lower resolution models. So these ones, aren't as accurate as the ones that will be coming into range here within the next day or two with the actual event. So that is one thing to make a note of. All right, let's go back and look at this. Do I think this stuff could crawl into central Arkansas? I think it can, but I don't think it'll be very tornadic. I think it'll be more of a strong damaging wind event. If it does produce any tornadoes, they'll be brief, 5 minutes tops. And, I can't rule out, them being, like mid-range strength, maybe like EF1, EF2, maybe at most EF3, but I really do doubt tornadoes that strong could be that far north unless if models really do change. So, yeah, I can't rule out a tornado, but I think areas over there in central Arkansas, maybe even northern Arkansas, will really get as much of a tornado risk. How about the Northeast? The Northeast, believe it or not, is just expected to see a lot of rain. It's pretty ugly. Usually it's this time of year into which it's relatively ugly weather. I live in southern Pennsylvania, and, it's just, it's ugly types of weather where it's like 40 degrees and it rains and stuff like that. And it's just like, bleh. Do I think the severe weather will go further north? Will it stay, how far north do I think it will go? Probably at most, if it really is the worst case scenario, at most central Arkansas, but once again, I highly doubt that. It'll be southern Arkansas that'll be the furthest north from what I can tell right now. What about Illinois? Illinois is going to see a lot of rain and or snow, but like not accumulation wise. It'll be just general shenanigans that don't really impact too many people. I'll actually put that up here real quickly so that you guys can see what I mean by that. There's the Midwest. Here's our precipitation. Monday, there's Tuesday. You can see we have a lot of rain. You can see that big line that forms. There's our low pressure system. For people who might be sensitive to pressure, your ears might pop and stuff like that, or you might get a migraine. But other than that, it really isn't too much over here in Illinois. You guys will be fine. 2013 tornado outbreak in Michigan. Are we looking at the same type of system? Definitely not. No way, Jose. Chances for the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Too soon to say yet. If anything, you might see some small level amounts of weather. Definitely something interesting there on Sunday, but I mean, it's not like to a high caliber, to a high degree. I think if you guys do see something, it'll be on Wednesday, and it'll be some strong damaging winds. I don't see anything other than that, though. That is a sounding that I did not want to take. Talk about the December 4th event. December 4th is pretty far away, isn't it? Yeah, that's really far away. I'll have to decline as of right now. All right, looking at more questions. How about PA? Will we be impacted? Unfortunately, no. I want some form of weather, but, you know, the weather gods do not like me. Jeez. Where would you say a moderate risk is most likely to be issued if it were to happen? Definitely central to north central Louisiana. Other than that, probably not. Why do outflow boundaries produce tornado? It essentially creates a shift in winds, and that shift in winds can, develop little eddies that can spin. So, that's the reason why. At least that's the basic reason. There's other reasons, but that's the basic one. Try and look through here to see if there's any more. Yeah, there is. There's a lot. A lot of questions, but keep it coming. I love answering your questions. Once again, talking about severe weather on Tuesday, if you're new. Let's try and pull up the full screen. There you go. Severe weather there for portions of Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi, as well as extreme eastern Texas, highlighted by the Storm Prediction Center. So if you have any questions on that, feel free to ask in the chat. For people who didn't see the presentation on why I think this event is going to do what it is, please be sure to rewind in the stream so that way you guys might be able to see it. How do I feel about Southern Illinois on Tuesday? I feel pretty confident that, you guys might see some gusty showers over there, but other than that, I don't really see too much. I really don't. Let's see. Is Parker County, Texas going to get severe weather? That is a good question. Let me look that up. Parker County. Where is Parker County? Parker County in Texas is over near Fort Worth. No. I think you guys will be fine on Tuesday. It'll really be anywhere in the yellow and the orange is really going to get it. But other than that, Parker County should be fine. It'll be all the areas there outlined in this color. Yeah, once again, I'm not looking at December 4th. That is very far out. Anything that's beyond a week or a week and change is really up to, there's a good chance it'll change. There's a good chance that it'll change and shift in some fashion. I can say that December 4th could get some weather. Just what type of weather? It's very difficult to say. Will I be streaming on Tuesday? Very good question. Depending upon what the potential of this event can reach will determine as to whether or not I will stream. So essentially, if you're looking at the Storm Prediction Center, the easy answer is to say if it has a 10% chance for tornadoes, even if it doesn't have a significant risk, I will stream. Could weather affect my robotics competition in Tuesday in Arkadelphia? It very well could, honestly. Some strong damaging winds could be possible within that area. So yeah, I definitely think it does have a risk. I am getting a phone call. Give me a second. There you go. I had to take that. I'll actually get into what that call was for here in a second, but I want to finish my questions. Need updates for southeastern Michigan? Does the system look like that? No. There won't be anything for Michigan until, like, end of spring next year, severe weather-wise. Maybe something in the middle of spring, but this just not... Your severe weather for the north, at least for the northern portions of the United States, anywhere near the Great Lakes, it's pretty much over for this year. All right, let's look through. How about Chicago in 2 days? That's a very good question. Let me pull that up. By the way, I've decided, chat, that I am going to be creating my own version, all right? My own version of a how to read radar for this channel. It will not be out more than likely until the beginning of severe weather season. One, because from a marketing standpoint, you know, if I upload the video of how to read radar, I mean, not a whole lot of people are going to want to look at radar during the winter because, well, snow is snow. Whereas, you know, once we get closer to like severe weather season and we talk about tornadoes and whatnot, you know, some people might be more interested in radar and therefore more people may want to actually watch the video. So we'll create the video and we'll upload it by then. But just realize that we are currently in the works. I have a team with a bunch of researchers and writers, and we are going to be composing a video series basically about radar and what you can see on there. So if you're excited for that, please be sure to, you know, stay tuned to the channel until then. So our deadline is March. Our deadline to create the video is March. And or the video series. We'll probably have the video completed by the end of December, but we also got to create other videos in the series. So that's the other thing there too. All right, let's talk about Chicago 2 days from now. That'll be Sunday and Monday. Sunday, there is anticipated to be some showers and thunderstorms there Sunday morning into Sunday afternoon. Once you get into Monday, it'll start to get pretty chilly, so that'll be something to watch out for. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than that, other thunderstorms are not very likely. What about Houma, Louisiana? That's a very good question. Why does Houma sound very familiar? Is that over near, like, New Orleans and stuff like that? Or Houma? I'm pretty sure it's Houma, though. Houma, Louisiana. I knew it was over there. I knew it sounded very familiar. Yeah, you guys could definitely see some severe weather. Even tomorrow. I think tomorrow you guys get some severe weather, I believe. Yeah, this is today. Yeah, tomorrow you guys can see some severe weather for some damaging winds and maybe a chance for a tornado. But from this severe weather event here, I think a lot of the stuff is going to be further north of you. So at minimum, I think you guys could see spotty hail and maybe some strong damaging winds. But yeah, Tuesday definitely is a day that you should watch out for, in my honest opinion. Charlotte, once again, if anything happens, it'll be something on Sunday that you guys can get from some strong damaging winds, or on Wednesday, maybe some damaging winds as well. But other than that, not very too significant. Colorado will be getting snow too. Yep, practically everywhere along the Rockies will be getting some snow. Thoughts on Alexandria? Definitely the area to watch for this event. I'm watching that area very closely. Might be my bullseye if I were to chase. If I was a storm chaser, which I only storm chase my areas, I don't exactly have enough money to go out there and go chase and stuff like that. But if I did, if I was a popular storm chaser, Alexandria / DeRitter would probably be the area that I would sit at before I were to start chasing and whatnot. Will I talk about December 4th? Not this stream. Just a quick question here real quickly. How many of you actually watched the severe weather event that occurred in early November? I think it was November 4th. How many of you watched my stream during that time period? It's not anything of if you did or you didn't, which if you didn't, you definitely should, because our storm chaser, Matt, caught 3 tornadoes, including a large wedge tornado on stream. All of which have timestamps, so if you want to go back and watch it, feel free. But I'm just curious from a rough number as to who actually was there from this. Just popping on, what's St. Louis looking like and what's actually happening? Happy Thanksgiving. Well, thank you, Paige. What's happening here is we have a severe weather event that is likely. I'll say likely because usually the Storm Prediction Center doesn't issue these style of risks here on day 5. I'll move this back to the full screen so that way you can... Actually, you know what? It might be easier if I just do that and then go back to that. Boom. A lot easier. We do have a risk for severe weather that is likely on Tuesday. It is for the areas in yellow and the areas in orange. So if you know anyone who lives within these areas, I highly recommend you inform them ahead of time that the potential for this is possible. As for the areas to the north of that, I highly doubt that there will be severe weather, but I do think there could still be some gusty showers, some strong damaging winds that could be possible within that area. But this event here that's coming up on Tuesday is going to be more of a damaging wind, large hail, and tornado maker for areas here in this shaded area. Oh, believe me, if you think radar doesn't show much, wait until you learn what we're putting on the videos. You'll be able to see all about radar. But, yeah. Yeah, I knew it, Julie. I was just like, man, almost sounds very interesting. Like, it sounds very familiar, very familiar. What about Arkansas? So curious. So basically, if you're northern or northwestern Arkansas, you guys aren't really going to get a whole lot. Central Arkansas, very interesting. It can be hit or miss. If there is going to be a tornado that forms, it's going to be very brief. At most, it'll live for 5 minutes, and then it'll die. But other than that, damaging winds. Damaging winds is really what you guys can anticipate. Once again, I will stream again on Monday night to inform you guys if anything has changed. I will do it regardless whether it has changed or not, so that way you guys can kind of understand still, if you even forgot about this stream here tonight, what is exactly going on. Look at North Carolina on Sunday. Looks like a classic high shear, low cape tornado setup. That'll be really interesting if that's the case. You've piqued my interest. The only model... Actually, let's use the wrap for that. The wrap model... I know your name is the HRRR, but I gotta look at my man, the wrap. The wrap is definitely one of the more accurate models of the year. 21Z. Let's look at 21Z. Sunday. Yeah. It's morning setup. Let's look at some soundings here because you know me, I love my soundings. Oh, what is that? Warm air inversion. That is some Monka-ass stuff. What about the stuff in front of it? Yeah, it's very, very cold. It has some very nice wind shear, but I mean, the temperatures across the board are just very, very cool. Curiosity killed the cat. Let's see if there's actually any cape here. Let's do mixed layer cape. Mixed layer cape would probably be the best for this event. Nah. 22Z right there. So this would be Eastern North Carolina. Yeah, one thing I will say is that the wind shear does look pretty linear. That is the one thing. This does look like a bit of a linear event. So yeah, I definitely think there could be some severe weather in the eastern portions of North Carolina, maybe even southeastern Virginia. I can't rule out maybe a spin up, but I think activity would be relatively weak if that's the case. But good call, good call. Why is there some cape over here near Pittsburgh? Yeah, no, go away. Go away. Oh wow, a lot of people watched it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, as I said, if you haven't watched it from my perspective, it was a heck of a stream. Yeah, Zachary should be in the 15%. Yeah, Matt, all I gotta say was Matt was a trooper for that stream. You know, I thank the Lord and I thank Matt every single time he goes out on a chase. You know, I always tell him, I said, if there's anything that you need, you know that I'm a call away. You know, he's gotten in a couple crashes and sometimes, like within the past 2 years. Yeah, I think back about all those stuff and helping him out with gas, just funds in general, money, extra profit. And, he does such a good job on the channel. Such a good job. I think he's the longest tenured chaser to a weather news channel on YouTube, besides actual news channels. I think he is. Which is an achievement, honestly. Go to general. Interesting. Yeah, New Boston was an EF3. There was only one EF4 that event, which was the Ida Bell tornado, I believe. Yeah, there's 2 different radar applications that you can use on your phone. Omega and Scope. Omega is more for, like, people who are interested in all sorts of, like, different interactive ways. But from, like, an actual, like, weather enthusiast perspective, Scope is definitely the way to go. There's a lot of products on Scope that I actually like over Omega. That's the reason why Pecos Hank is, always use radar Scope. You look at his stuff. Scope is there. Yeah, watching that severe weather event over in Germany, the big tornadoes over there, and then the Gaylord, Michigan tornado, that was some crazy stuff. Upstate South Carolina, see any storms? Maybe some strong damaging winds on Sunday and Wednesday, but other than that, not too much. All right, are there any other questions? Of course, if I missed your question, please put it back in again, because you know me. I can't see every single comment. But, yeah, that is Monka S. How does November 3rd through November 30th through December 3rd look like for Pittsburgh? On I think it's what, the 30th? Is it the 30th? Yeah, Wednesday the 30th. 30th, you guys could see some activity that can move on through. Maybe some showers and thunderstorms. But beyond that, after the 30th, it'll start to get pretty cold. And then it'll start to warm back up again within increments of a few days. Yeah, Pekka's Hank, good storm chaser on YouTube. Yeah, we all are struggling. I'll tell you what. As I said, I had to take my funds from Weatherbell and direct it somewhere else. So I won't have Weatherbell until like late December into early January. No, Shell, I have not. Even though I have been hard at work in college, I have not found one yet. It is very unfortunate. No major snowstorms, question mark, within the future? I mean, if you're counting, you know, like the higher elevations and the higher mountains, then sure, there's some large snowstorms. I think there's also one over in northern Texas, isn't there? That's going to be coming up here soon. No, that's already occurred. Never mind. Or I think it's already occurred. Give me a second. All right, just had to do that. Yeah, I neglected to tell you what I've been doing today. This entire weekend, as I say, I am a head coach for a middle school development team. And we have a conference tournament here at home this weekend. So a lot of discussion on my phone, just people calling me and stuff like that. Been pretty busy this weekend. And even leading up to it has been pretty busy. But it's fun, I'll tell you what. Hockey is a great sport, and I recommend it. Although I recommend, even if you don't like the sport right now, usually whenever it's really competitive, sports are very good, and that includes the World Cup right now. You know, very happy with my U.S. men's national team today. Anyways, back to this. Weather for road trip to Philly. From Philly to Chicago on Tuesday look okay. Yeah, it should, at least in the beginning of your trip. Once you get into Tuesday afternoon, though, and Tuesday evening, you guys might start to see some issues weather-wise as you get closer and closer. That'll be more towards the Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky area when you guys can start to see some more activity. Will there be a marginal risk Sunday for Virginia? Yeah, it probably could be southeastern Virginia if I had to guess, but other than that. If you were to look for me live, what day it would be? Monday night. Monday night, I am going to be live to discuss with you all as to what the severe weather event would actually be with all the final numbers and stuff like that. And then if it's bad enough, I will also stream on Tuesday, but the next time to look for me live would be on Monday. Do I plan on covering Hawaii and Alaska's weather in the future? You know, it would really have to depend. I actually have a history of live streaming a hurricane hitting Hawaii before. I've done it. But the weather would have to be significant enough for me to warrant it. Like Alaska, you know, they're pretty much used to like big blizzards and stuff like that. So I can't really, you know, say that I would stream stuff for over there. But if there's like severe weather or earthquakes, There's some instances to where I will cover earthquakes if they're big enough and if they're impactful enough. I will actually cover that here on the channel. And they're not even associated with weather. I just, feel like it's pretty interesting to cover earthquakes. But yes, I have covered Hawaii in the past. Yeah, go Ravens, 100%. I went to that game last Sunday and it was terrible. But our defense looked very good, and I am very excited for our defense. So, by the way, I really do appreciate all the people who are watching across the pond over in Europe. So thank you so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. So I appreciate you guys over there, even though this weather isn't impacting you all. What does it look like tomorrow? Early morning for Fort Smith to San Antonio. Looks like fun. You'll be driving. You want to be safe. Maybe some showers and thunderstorms. But, it would depend upon when you would leave, per se. But let's look at it here. So early morning tomorrow. Yeah, definitely showers and thunderstorms. Early in the morning, you'll have to drive through that. Once it gets to like the 4 o'clock time frame, you should be home free though. Especially if you hit 35, sometime around noon. Like you get to Dallas at around noon, you should be fine to actually head down. You'll be safe with that. Go Bills and Vikings, sorry. Hey, it's all right. I mean, listen. At the end of the day, one team's going to win the Super Bowl. I can't say it's going to be my team, but then again, I can't say it's going to be anyone else's until, we actually get there. We have to wait a couple more weeks before we actually start to get into my ego inflating about my football team. What, Morgan? Nice to see you, though. Nice to see you in there. What was that phone call about earlier? That was, once again, about my hockey stuff. Yeah, it's going to be difficult for it to get pretty cold over there in Miami anytime soon, but let's just go see and, see if it could actually happen. At least within the near future. Is it going to happen in Miami anytime soon? The next instance that you would possibly get it would be Friday. Thursday into Friday. Thursday into Friday would be it. But other than that, 78 would be what you'd kind of think. And that's not really cold. So, yeah, probably not anytime soon until December when Miami's going to get some actual stuff, like cold-wise. Any severe weather for Northern Illinois on Tuesday? Unlikely. Very unlikely. Oh, 100%. Hockey is such a fun sport to play. And it's even, better as a coach to watch them play. As a coach, I always want to see my players succeed. And, I want to put them in the best position to succeed, but I also got to understand, too, that, they have their own ways of playing the game, and I got to respect that, too. I got to kind of guide them through it. So I want to better their game, but I also want to enhance other portions of their play as well. All right, any other questions? Because we are getting to an hour into the stream, and, there isn't really anything else to talk about. So I'll give it until 9:35 Eastern Standard Time, 8:35 Central Standard Time, until we decide as to whether or not it is time to skedaddle skadoodle. Wow, I need to clean up my Discord. Do I think Alabama will see severe weather next week? If it does happen, it'll be overnight from Tuesday into Wednesday. But other than that, Is this system set up to be like December 16th, 2019? That spawned the tornado that stayed on the ground from DeRitter to Alexandria? So believe it or not, Jacob, before I answer that question, that was actually the first ever tornado emergency that I covered here on this channel. I've been streaming since, I would like to say July, June. No, it's late June. June 28th, 2019 was when I started on this channel. Talking about weather and live streaming it. So that was the first tornado emergency that I've ever covered here on stream. With that being said, no, it will not be like that event from what it looks to be right now. But on the other hand, I will continue to kind of take a look as we get closer and closer. And if things do change, I will be able to answer that question for you on Monday. But as of right now, looking at the models, you know, it's looking pretty unlikely. Most recent message. Memes? Memes? Solid, look at the run towards the end of the 18Z GFS run in the Northeast. What do you mean? What if I don't want to look at the Northeast? GFS. What about Michigan for Sunday? I would say some like gusty showers, but other than that, not really too much. Maybe some snow showers as well if it gets cold enough, but other than that, it's not really like too significant. All right, the end for the Northeast. This is the 12Z GFS and not the 18Z, so we need to look at the 18Z according to Morgan. Do I have any pets? Yeah, 2 cats and 6 chinchillas. We get a tornado in Miami tomorrow? Nope, but it is definitely possible, I think, on Sunday. If not, scatter showers and thunderstorms. All right, here's the 18Z. Let's see what Morgan wants us to see. End of the GFS says... What? Nor'easters? I get snow? That's very surprising. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that's Monka S. That won't be the same the next time we look at that. Where has David been, or can I discuss it? Are you talking about David Schlotthauer? If you're talking about David Schlotthauer, he has rebranded to a new channel called Weather United. Now, I haven't paid attention to his channel within the past, like, month or two, but he has rebranded to that channel now. All right, it looks like the majority of our questions are pretty much done and over with, which means we can skadoodle. So, once again, guys, I really do appreciate you guys coming back to the channel. It really does mean a lot to me. Be mindful, all right? Even if I don't upload, which I will upload on Monday regardless, I'll be live. Monday night, 8:30. 8:30 is the time I'm setting for on Monday night. I'll be live there to give you guys an update as to what's going on over there. But even if I don't upload and you get weather, whether it's snow or rain, just be mindful. All right, please always be cautious. Especially with sudden weather conditions changing and stuff like that. Definitely could be, it's that time of year in winter to where if it snows, it could like be flurrying and then all of a sudden it can be white out. All right, so pay attention to, the National Weather Service, Storm Prediction Center, Weather Prediction Center, all sorts of stuff like that. And, yeah, just be safe. Now, hopefully by Tuesday, and Joey's in the chat, so Joey, we got to work on this. Maybe not tonight, but on another day. Hopefully we will get the program done so that it'll be available to showcase on Tuesday. And if that occurs, you know, albeit if the severe weather is significant enough on Tuesday, then we could hypothetically make our live coverage a lot more easier and a lot more advanced, but at the same time simplified for people, so that way we may always be able to be on top of every single weather event. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to like the live stream, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications if you haven't already. Even if even if you're just here and you're like, man, don't want to like, don't want to subscribe, or if you're just here just to stick around, it helps my channel a lot. So feel free to do so if you want to hang around. That'd be greatly appreciated. Once again, I have an idea, or at least I have a video series that I'm going to be releasing in March about radar. So if you're going to be around with me up until then, expect a lot of videos about radar, how it works, how to read it, all sorts of different stuff like that could be in your feed. So that's pretty much it. My name is Nate, and I will see you guys on Monday. So peace out, everyone. Stay safe until then. Bye.